The Great Migration was a significant movement of approximately 6 million African Americans from the rural South to urban areas in the North and West between 1916 and 1970, driven by the search for better economic opportunities and escape racial oppression. The time after slavery, it was a different time than we're talking about right now. The opportunities for Black individuals were not plentiful. So you had a lot of individuals that branched out. They left the South. They left, areas where they had been growing up, born, working, whatever, in order to try and go somewhere to better their life. But when we fast forward all the way to 2025, I can't help but think that while the Great Migration did help a lot of Black individuals elevate their life, it watered down the Black representation that was in the South. It watered down what would become the Black political power that Black individuals have. And here's why I say I watered it down. Had the majority of Black Americans stayed in the South post-slavery, not talking anything about the conditions, because I understand the conditions were horrendous. We talk about a grandson of a first-generation motherfucker that was free. So I understand the conditions that they were living in the South. But had those individuals stayed in the South, the number of Black individuals in these southern states would greatly outnumber the number of white individuals in these southern states. What that would in turn do is yield more Black power when it comes to the voting booth, because we would be represented by a lot of individuals that look like us. Two, we would have a solid voting block of individuals in the South to where the needs and necessities and the viewpoints of Black America would have no choice but to be put on the forefront, because we would have the entire South on lock. We'd have that Mason-Dixon line area on lock. Majority of the white people that would be in the South would be rooting for Black people's interests, because they would understand that it would be in their own best interest to get on board this train or get left behind. We've seen that thought process play out with some well-off Black individuals, because they see the train that the white folks are on, they go get on that train. It'd be a lot better for them to be on that train than to be on a Black train with us, because that's the environment that we're living in now because of the Great Migration. And while I'm not going to try and explicitly say the Great Migration was a bad thing for Black America, I cannot help but look at the impact that it ultimately had on the population of the Southern Blacks. And while there's a lot of us in the South, imagine if 6 million. Imagine 6 million African Americans added to the African Americans we have in the Southern states. What type of political power we would yield? What type of political influence we would yield with that type of community behind it? The Great Migration did a lot of things to the Black community. And one of those things, the biggest things, well, it did provide opportunities for some Black families, but it split the Black community. And it also led to the class that we know as the Black bourgeoisie. Because when we've seen the Great Migration play out, the Great Migration said those 6 million Blacks moved to northern states to try and figure out a better way of life. A lot of those individuals, they stayed in the Black Belt area of town, which was an area where predominantly Black individuals stayed that were new to the area. Transitory cities, if you will. But they turned into the hoods and slums and the ghettos. But how did they turn into that? I'll tell you how they turned into that. As those Black Belt cities started to grow, the individuals in those cities started to work. They started to retain wealth. They started to build wealth, And as a result of them building wealth, some of them said, hey, I don't want to live in this Black side of town anymore. And I'm not going to browbeat or talk shit about anybody who wants to elevate themselves and move their families to a different environment. But when you look at the reality of what's going on, you can't help notice that when those richer or those wealthier, more secure Black individuals left the Black Belt and moved to the white side of town, first of all, the whites didn't want them in that side of town to begin with. Some of these communities actually made rules and laws preventing ownership of land by Black individuals to prevent that type of stuff from happening. But we started to see these Black individuals leave the Black side of town. What happens when your big homie leaves the block? All the motherfucking YNs start that crazy. Same thing. When the wealthy or more established Black individuals left those predominantly Black towns, a lot of bullshit started to happen. That Black influence, for whatever reason, just turned its back on that community. Hence Black bourgeoisie. We can't point fingers and say, hey, these are some cool ass niggas, because given the opportunity, a lot of people would try and put their family in a better situation. So what we got to do is understand that we can put our family in a better situation without turning our back on the Black community. And that's what a lot of individuals in that Black Belt that left the Black Belt did. They left it. Gone was the financially stable individuals to show other individuals in that community how to become financially stable. Gone were the connected individuals that knew the city councilman, knew the sheriff, knew these individuals in town that pretty much made sure that this side of town got some love. Gone were the individuals that just showed an example of what you can aspire to be in that community. So you don't have that example anymore. You turn into the ghetto, you turn into the slum, turn into the hood. So I was reading a book in the midst of the Great Migration. I started thinking about the Great Migration. I was like, damn, the Great Migration kind of fucked us up. Because we got all this gerrymandering shit going on now where Florida, Texas, and California already did it, where they go look at the map and they say, hey, where do we have enclaves of Republicans or white voters? We need to try and figure out how to make a district because we got an enclave, we got a large population of voters that think like this in this area. So that gerrymandering got me thinking like, damn, the Great Migration fucked us up. Because if you had all the black people that were here originally in the South still here, and their remnants and their families still here, the South would be on fucking lock. The United States government would have no choice but to pay attention to the needs and wants and desires of Black America because we would be organized like a motherfucker. King would have never got shot. Nah, hell no. Malcolm X either. Because we would have had that enclave of Black America to where, just think Rosewood or Black Wall Street on steroids. That's what we could have potentially had the Great Migration not gone down. It's something that we gotta be honest with ourselves about, because we've seen a lot of Black people turn their back on the Black community behind wanting to get ahead in life. The time that we're in right now is going to be even more important that we stick together.